Support for this episode comes from Signature Bank.
Hey, this is Gary Head at Signature Bank of Arkansas. We started this bank 20 years ago to serve our communities with local decision-making and personal relationships. From Fayetteville to Jonesboro, we've grown to 210 teammates, and we're proud to serve all of our customers, including through Banco C, our bilingual banking service. Call 479-684-3700 or visit signature.bank and tell us you heard about us on I Am Northwest Arkansas.
Hey, folks, and welcome to another episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas, the podcast where we dive into the heart of the Ozarks, celebrating the people, places, and ideas shaping our region. Today's guest is living proof that reinvention has no age limit. David Nelson is a dynamic force, a wellness expert, motivational speaker, founder of AHA University, and yes, the self-proclaimed CEO of Fun. At 71 years young, David is on a mission to help others rediscover play, purpose, and possibility, often one pickleball game at a time. From his base in Northwest Arkansas, he's building a global coaching platform for active, healthy aging, telling powerful intergenerational stories and showing the world that your best chapter might just be your next one. So whether you're 30, 60, or somewhere in between, this conversation will leave you inspired to reinvent yourself and have a little fun while you're at it. Right after this, we will get into our conversation with David Nelson.
It's time for another episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas, the podcast covering the intersection of business, culture, entrepreneurship, and life in general here in the Ozarks. Whether you are considering a move to this area or trying to learn more about the place you call home, we've got something special for you. Here's our host, Randy Wilburn.
David Nelson, how are you doing today?
Fantastic. I got to play pickleball for a couple hours this morning. Woohoo!
Oh, that's good. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. Well, listen, I'm excited to have you on the podcast. You and I actually met as I was going through the process of the TEDx Fayetteville program, and that's where we bumped into each other. And you heard my talk on it's never too late to do the thing that you're called to do. And I guess there was some type of kindred spirit there in terms of some of the things that you're doing and what I was talking about in my TED Talk. And so I really appreciated the time that we got to share with each other, both in the time leading up to the TED Talk, the actual TED Talk, and then afterwards. And so you just reaching out to me to share what you're working on just got me really interested by saying, you know what, there's a bunch of Davids out there here in Northwest Arkansas, and I would love to be able to connect them all through my I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast. So I'd love for you just to quickly introduce yourself. You call yourself the CEO of Fun. What does that mean? And how did that title come to be?
Great question. A good opening. Thank you for that. The thing is for me is that my final adventure in my life started 7/11/2022. That was the very first day that I played pickleball at the Rogers Adult Wellness Center in Rogers, Arkansas. I also met a lady that day. Her name is Carolina, and she introduced herself to me, and we started talking, and there's a lot more to it. I could go into it, but the bottom line is that I was reinventing myself because I'd been a runner for 44 years. I'd been retired for like 6 years. And I met this lady because I had to get out of running because my right hip went out. So it's like, what can I do? And I figured, well, it's time to slow down a little bit. And somebody challenged me to play pickleball. And I just fell in love with the sport. And I later fell in love with the lady, Carolina, who introduced herself. And I wrote a book about it called A Pickleball Love Story, and it's on Amazon Kindle, small little thing. But I love writing, and as my wife said to me the other day, she said, David, you were born to inspire people. I love that. And so what's important about that 3 years ago, rather than going through all my 71-year history, is that for me, the adventure that I'm on right now is to use pickleball as a bridge between generations, cultures, and countries. So I'm working, for example, with a lady that's in England, Katie's her name, and she has an 18-year-old son. And this is the best, most dramatic example I can think of how I reinvented myself and help other people to do it. Her 18-year-old son went through some reconstructive surgery on his face, got depressed, was causing him tremendous emotional problems. He was on medications and all kind of stuff. I said, Katie, you know what to do with him. We've been talking for several months. And she took him to play pickleball. Within a week, he is already improving dramatically just by playing freaking pickleball. Why do I get excited about it? It comes down to this, Randy. Pickleball is the only sport that grandma and grandpa can play with the parents and with the kids. It's easy to learn. It's accessible. It's very low cost of entry. I've seen so many people get married playing pickleball. And this is something that's been on my heart for 6 years, the aha.university. That's our website if anybody wants to check that out. But it's all about active, healthy aging and reinventing, because when I first met the lady who would become my wife, she said she was in the process of reinventing herself. That word just keeps coming back over and over again to me. So quickly, for me, what's important is helping older people to enjoy their life as a health coach, a lifestyle reset coach. I call myself the AHA lifestyle coach. The point is to help people to enjoy their life, play pickleball safely, not get out there and try to duplicate what I do. I'm a crazy man. I just jump all over the place and have fun with it. But the point is, for me, is that pickleball is the gateway sport to a lot of other sports. It helps people to be active. It involves coordination. My wife has some balance problems, so it helps her. And pickleball is a combination of tennis and ping pong. Mm-hmm. So it blends the two. You played before, right?
Yeah.
So that's the main thing, is that rather than giving my whole 71 years, I've reinvented myself a dozen times. I'm writing a book about it. I want to cooperate with you on that and introduce this concept. And we're starting it at the Springdale Senior Center. And we're going to be helping people to get into pickleball, tell their stories. So it's all about having fun with the older folks, because when you retire, who are you?
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that, because I think a lot of people self-identify by the work they do, right? And I mean, unfortunately, you are more than just your career, right? I mean, that's just, you could be a multitude of things. And I think that's why this kind of message really does resonate with me, because if we pay attention as human beings, we have a number of opportunities to reinvent ourselves throughout our lives. It starts happening when we're a child, and as we grow up and we hit puberty, and then we hit being in the teenage years, and we're not the same kid that we were when we were 6 or 7. And then when you go to college, you reinvent yourself again. And then when you get out into the workforce, depending on the type of work that you do, you get another opportunity to reinvent yourself. And then even after you hit, as I like to talk about, being 40 or hitting what I call halftime, there's still another opportunity to reinvent yourself. And what you're saying to me is that even at 71, you can reinvent yourself. I mean, I don't do public math, but to back up from 2025 to 2022 is just 3 years. So, late 60s, early 70s, you're still thinking about ways to reinvent yourself and to make the most of all that life has to offer. And it's interesting how you found pickleball as kind of like one of the foundational tools for you to be able to do that.
It is. So the bottom line of why pickleball is so important to me personally is that for me, it is the opening act to be able to talk to people about the most important thing we can ever do on a daily basis, find ways to play. And so the young man that I played with this morning, Ian, has a nonprofit organization helping kids to get out of gaming addictions. And he is an expert on that because he was addicted to games, video games, in college and even before that. Now at age 37, he's got 2 young children, and he's on a mission to help people to understand why their children get involved with games and get them more involved in their lives. So working with Ian and with a whole bunch of other folks here in Northwest Arkansas on pickleball and other nonprofit organizations. I just met a lady today as well. Her husband is involved with AAO, which is another Arkansas athletic organization, and they're sports related. And the bottom line there is that the one sport that connects people together is the pickleball. Again, it's easy to learn. And the biggest thing that we're doing now is we're doing a research project to demonstrate, and my goal is to work with U of A, which I've done many times over the 30 years that I've lived in Northwest Arkansas. And people have said to me, "You're crazy to do this in Northwest Arkansas. Why are you doing it here?" So let me address that. And the thing is, I love it here. I mean, we have a beautiful environment. I'm an outdoors guy, again, running, for 44 years. It's outside. Used to love running hills. My goal, hopefully I'll get back to that. But pickleball has allowed me to, again, reinvent myself and feel good about myself. That's the whole point of this among elders. So to finish on the children, the point is to connect the grandkids with the parents because they all say the same thing. I feel lonely. I feel isolated. And this silly darn cell phone is causing so many problems. So I want to get people off the cell phone onto the pickleball court. And I've seen with young people, sometimes the only time they'll get away from the video game is to be on the pickleball. You can't hold this thing while you're on the court, right?
Yeah.
So I've seen young people do that and old people. That one guy I play with, Don, the only time he gets off his oxygen is to play pickleball. I mean, that inspires me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and again, there's something about the camaraderie of playing against somebody else. It's one of the reasons why, tennis is such a popular sport for even older people. I know I have friends of the family who have played tennis into their 80s and, outside of a couple of bouts with tennis elbow and, some creaky joints, they get out there and hit the ball and it's a great workout. And pickleball, it's a smaller court and it can be a little bit faster than tennis even. And, your reflexes, you really have to keep your reflexes in tow because of the smaller size of the court. So there's a lot of opportunities to really exercise the body and the mind, right? Because mentally you have to be strong in order to be able to navigate the court and to negotiate returning the pickleball back to the opposing team. And you got to play, typically you can play with other people. And so you have that aspect of it. So there are just so many ways that pickleball is a great outlet and a great sport for people to pick up even at an advanced age.
Yeah, that's it. And so for me, as the psychologist in me, that was my degree as a kid, is that this is the one opportunity for people, again, at any age. I'll pick up on what you said about tennis, that yes, there are athletes that continue on into their 80s. But what if you're 50, 60, 70? Are you going to pick up tennis? When you compare that to pickleball, forget it. And I give you an example. When I was a kid growing up in St. Louis, Missouri, and I was running, of course, back then, I met this older guy who was my age, 70. And he said, "Oh, I see you're in pretty good shape." I was like 35, half his age. And he said, "I was thinking about running." And I said, "Let me ask you something, sir. Do you feel good? Do you feel healthy?" He says, "Yeah." I said, "Do you want to maintain your health?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Don't run." Go out and walk, work into it. But there are a lot of other things that people can do if they're older to get in shape and stay in shape rather than killing yourself and trying to be an athlete if you've never been one. Yeah. Now, I've been blessed that I've kept the same body and the same weight for 50 years. My role model as a kid was the guy who started the physical fitness craze in the 50s, Jack LaLanne. Yep. You might be old enough to remember him.
I remember him.
Yeah. So the thing is, what I want to help people to do with active, healthy aging, I see this as the future of human potential available for people. And I wanted to start here in Northwest Arkansas because this is where I'm going to die. For me, I just
not
love
today.
Huh?
Not today, though. Just to be
no,
clear.
no. I've got another 30 years unless I run into a bus or a semi.
I love
because
it.
I don't get sick. I don't believe in being. My motto is live healthy, die healthy.
Yes.
That's the way Jack died. He worked out and had a great routine he did for 50 years. He worked out, Randy, until the age of 96. And the day before he died of pneumonia, he was still working out.
I know.
That's going to be me. I'm going to be on the pickleball court doing that. So that's why this is so much fun.
I'll put some links in the show notes for Jack LaLanne on YouTube because he has some really great videos, and they're actually quite motivating. Both he and his wife would work out a lot. And I remember watching his stuff when I was a kid, and I'd be like, man, who is this guy with these tight outfits on and everything? But man, he walked the walk and talked the talk. But the thing that I took away from him was just the consistency of getting out and working out. Not that you got to kill yourself every day, but that a body in motion stays in motion. And I remember him talking about that and those concepts. And, you know, you can laugh about it, but unfortunately, we live in a world and a day and an age where a lot of, specifically Americans, right? Since mostly Americans listen to this, although shout out to those folks in India and some other places that listen to this podcast. But because a lot of Americans live a sedentary lifestyle, it is really difficult to overcome a lot of the health issues that creep up because of the sedentary lifestyle. So when you live an active lifestyle, it's a lot harder. You know, it's a lot easier for you to keep your body going, even when it hurts, right? Because like I'm not old, but I know sometimes I wake up in the morning and I feel a little tight, and I always try to stretch. And before I get out and do my workout, I do the same thing 6 days a week. But, you know, sometimes I don't feel like it. I don't want to do it. But once I force myself out the door, and about, I would say, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 minutes into my workout, I feel great. And it's just sometimes you just need that vitamin D on you, that sunshine, just that fresh, cool air, especially this time of year in the wintertime. And when it hits your face and it hits your body, you just react differently. And all of a sudden, it seems like your limbs wake up, like your muscles wake up, and even whatever you might have been feeling starts to subside. And, you know, I've talked to a number of people that have those feelings, that they wake up a little creaky in the morning, a little sore. But then once they get out and start working out, whether it's a light jog or a walk or whatever, and you don't have to go crazy, it makes all the difference in the world.
Absolutely. Well, and I'll bring it back to you and your grandfather, okay? With what he did in the 60s, he was the oldest person who viewed for that job, what he did for television and sportscasting. And he ended up giving that speech about when Kennedy was shot. And, you know, if you stay active, if you stay engaged in your life, and you're serving a larger cause, like for me, helping other people to find the courage and the energy to reinvent themselves and go back to their childhood, which is what I've done with myself. So I look at people like your grandfather. I love interviewing people like that. How did you do that? Where did you come from? I mean, I want to have larger conversations with you about your grandpa.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, I'll bring it to the grandpa stage of my own grandfather, is that he had an asphalt paving business. And I remember when I was 17, I wanted to buy the company from him. So I sat down at the kitchen table with Grandpa. I said, Grandpa, sell me the business. I'm just a dumb kid. What do I know? But he set me straight. And this is the point of getting older people to talk about their stories and about reinventing themselves. He was 62. I was 17. We're sitting at the kitchen table, and he asked me a really important question. How much money do you have? I said, Grandpa, I'm 17. I said, okay, I know you. He was a Golden Gloves boxer. I mean, he was a fighter about your size. He was a bigger guy. So it's like, you don't give Grandpa any crap. Right. This is the way it is. But I said, okay, all right, that's over. And you don't want to teach me. You just want to retire. But I said, Grandpa, why didn't you develop the biggest business in the asphalt paving business in the 60s when he got started in this in the 50s? And he said, David, I've got one good crew and I'm making all the money that I need, paid for the houses for my 3 children. He and Grandma traveled all around the world. She got to drive her Cadillac. He drove his little red pickup, kind of like Sam Walton. I mean, but obviously on a much smaller scale. But he taught me so many great lessons about people and being satisfied with doing a certain amount and touching lives. So let me bring this back to the heart and the reinventing stories with my grandpa that I'd love to hear more about your grandfather, is that he had several black people working for him, and he always respected people. He said, I look at people one way, David, and this is for you. He said, are they a worker or not? And he had this one guy who worked for him. His name was Willie, and he loved the ladies. And unfortunately, he got caught in the wrong bed. The husband comes in and shoots the man dead.
Man.
So his family disowned him, said, oh, you're worthless, whatever. My grandfather paid for that man's funeral. He wanted him to get a decent burial because he said he was a good worker. He did his job. Yes, he made a mistake, but he didn't have to pay for the man's burial. I mean, but that is what is in me. And that's what I see is in everyone. We've got great stories from our family that can help us to be a guide. Older people need to remember the importance of their grandparents. Younger people have no clue who in the world they are. So I love helping young people to find who they are so they can make good choices and go forward in their life. So I'll end it with the grandpa story because to me, grandparents have so much to offer. So I want them to volunteer to make a difference in their community, however they want to do it. Pickleball is just my starting point.
Yeah. I think that's like your gateway, if you think about it that way.
It's a gateway sport.
Yeah. So again, you shared that you lived in Northwest Arkansas now for 30 years. What originally drew you here, David? Why did you come to Northwest Arkansas, and how has this community supported your journey? So both with pickleball and then even before that, because I mean, obviously you liked it here. 30 years is a long time. I only have 11 years under my belt here in Northwest Arkansas. And I feel like, wow, I can't believe I've been here 11 years. But what has it been like for you for 30 years here in Northwest Arkansas with all of the changes that I know you've seen in this area?
Oh, yeah. Well, the thing that I've done wherever I've lived, and I've lived all over the country, we're not going to go into all that. But the bottom line of it is I always get to know the oldest people in the area. So by going out and talking to the oldest people, business people, ordinary people, whatever, because I love listening to people's stories, and we're developing AHA University as what I call a living legacy storytelling platform. And so the thing is going out and talking to older people in the area. One of them is now an adopted sister of mine. I'll just say her first name, Annetta. She grew up in Harrison, Arkansas. She is a true Arkie, but she's traveled all over the world. When she was married, her husband was in the Navy, so they traveled, and she's had all kind of great experiences. No one asks her about that. I loved learning from her. So what I learned about Northwest Arkansas, and of course I've traveled, I know the state like the back of my hand now because I'm working with people all over the state, is that this is what I want to bring back, is that essence of family. We've forgotten what it means to be a fully human being. We've forgotten about the importance of family. We've forgotten a definition of community. Who's in your community? So to answer your question, Randy, it comes down to this. What I learned moving from St. Louis down to Northwest Arkansas, people actually care about family. I love that. And so
was it evident to you right away, or did it take
absolutely
a while? Really? Okay.
Absolutely. Well, that's the psychologist in me. I love helping people to sort out their issues because my father was an alcoholic. So he did everything unhealthy. I went the complete opposite.
No, I love that. That's cool. I like hearing that kind of story. And, I do believe that Northwest Arkansas is a family-oriented space. It really does make a difference. And I think that's it's one of the things I use to describe Northwest Arkansas when I say why I lived here. Because I I packed my family up. We all left Boston and came here over 11 years ago. And my kids were much younger then. And all of them, including the youngest, have basically spent their formative years here in Arkansas, in Northwest Arkansas specifically. And it has been a really family oriented environment for them. I mean, the relationships that they've built up, the people that they've come in contact with, and everything that I have built between this podcast and my career, I've had a lot of opportunities to really connect with some amazing people, and I consider them all friends. And I would say that that's the thing that I really enjoy about Northwest Arkansas is that whenever I go out, I just run into people that I know, and it's always like you just saw this person the other day, even if it's been several weeks or, that reconnection period is always crisp and it's quick and you're like right back at wherever you left off the last conversation. And that to me is the embodiment of Northwest Arkansas. I never had that experience quite honestly in New England. New England was great. It was just a different flavor. I didn't quite have that experience in Atlanta because everything was spread out. The Bay Area was a little different for me because I was much younger and my focus was different. So I didn't care about family as much when you're young and just out of college. You're just trying to, you go out and do life. And I didn't know any better. Now I know better. And because I know better, I see the value and importance of putting that focus on family, whatever that is, right? I mean, family could be a single mom and her kids and, and because of this type of area where there's so many other folks that come into that community, into that village, if you will, that even if you do have a small family unit, you feel connected to the bigger group of folks.
Exactly.
And if you don't, and let me add this, and if you don't, I believe there are a lot of really good programs here in Northwest Arkansas. There are a lot of really good people here that, I'm just amazed at just connecting with people over coffee and what that ultimately leads to. I mean, I could just tell you story after story after story of what I have done with this podcast that has led to so many beautiful relationships. And honestly, I mean, me doing the TED Talk was one reason, was because of this podcast and because of some of the work that I'd been doing in the community, how I got involved with Ozark Natural Foods, how I started working at the Fayetteville Public Library. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But, that's a testament to this area and why it is such a powerful force for people. But it is what you make it. You have to do it, meaning that somebody listening to this right now, they could be inspired by your words about pickleball and about AHA University and about how you can go out and reinvent yourself, but they still have to do it. They still have to put one foot in front of the other and make it out there to the Rogers workout facility or go to the Springdale Rec Place and go play pickleball or do something like that, because you're not going to meet anybody sitting in your lazy boy chair at home or on your couch. You've got to get out and meet folks. And if you need assistance in that, or if you need some guidance or advice, I'm happy to point you in the right direction with some resources that will kind of help you identify some different ways that you can connect with other people in the community, other like-minded people, other people that have kindred interests and things of that nature. So I just want to encourage people listening to this that, all hope is not lost, and don't feel like you're alone. You're only alone, especially in Northwest Arkansas, if you want to be.
That's it. So my final thing that'll go with that is, like you, I love connecting people to resources. I love connecting people to people. But the thing that is the essence of David is helping people to reinvent themselves from the inside out. And my one little claim to fame with that I will take credit for is that Oprah and I have one thing in common. We both kept a daily personal diary for 51 years. I started October.
You told me that. That's so crazy that you've been that consistent and done that for 51 years.
Yeah. And the thing is that I am the embodiment of what my wife described the other day, and I'll use this as my ending thing for me. She said, David, your brain and your mind is wired to inspire people.
Yeah.
So my joy, Randy, is helping you and everyone I talk to to find the courage and the energy to find what is really important. And I'll end with my 4 V's. What is your real voice? Who are you? Okay. Your voice, your vision of who you are, and that's in the reinventing. The 3rd V, what is your values? What are your value system? So I'm in complete agreement with Northwest Arkansas and the melting pot that I see here. And the final V is victory over fear. I live with an aha attitude of gratitude for abundance with every breath. Because at my age, I've helped a number of people to die, but I love inspiring people to want to live. That's what AHA University is about. Old, young, black, white, blue, green. I just love people, and I love my life. And it's because my wife inspires the crap out of me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. And I mean, I think that, it's never too late to pick up something that you're interested in and really run with it, right? I think, again, our minds sometimes play tricks on us.
Oh, yes.
Sometimes our minds don't do what the body wants to do and vice versa. So we have to kind of, that's why I think it's so important to pray and to meditate and to take time to separate yourself from all the noise that's out there so that you can reconnect back with yourself. Because I think that a person that spends time in introspection, a person that spends a little bit of time separated from everybody else in a little solitude, it goes a long way, right? And so, and like I'll liken it to the story of like for those of you that read the Bible, the story of Moses when he went up on the mountain. He went up on the mountain and he had an experience where he saw God. And in that experience of God, when he came back down, he was so unrecognizable when people looked at him and they were like, what's going on here? Who is this guy? And so, but that example in the Bible is a great example. It's symbolic, I think, of, sometimes you have to set yourself apart to be able to kind of work on yourself and take that next step in your evolutionary process, right? That we all go through. Some of us don't fully achieve that. And I think as a motivational speaker that you are and that you're becoming, you realize that because it's that age-old comment that we hear all the time, make the dash count. If, it's like we're born one year, we die another year, but it's everything that you do in between that time that makes all the difference in the world. And I know that this episode's a little different than a lot of our normal episodes, but it is motivational from the vantage point that it is never too late to do the things that you're called to do. It's never too late to pick up that pen and get up a half hour early each morning and just write in your journal. It's never too late to get out and force yourself to walk, whether it's 5 minutes a day and then 10 minutes a day and then 15 minutes and then so on and so forth. It's never too late for you to meet somebody, to fulfill some objectives that you've had in your life, to not die alone, right? Because nobody wants to die alone. But I think, again, it's important for us, whether we're looking for romantic companionship or just friendship, that we've got to get outside of the 4 walls that sometimes surround us. Those 4 walls can both be physical, but they can also be mental walls. And you've got to be able to overcome that in order to be your fully measured self.
And so I'll end my thing with congratulating you for what you've done with this podcast, because the thing is, you inspire the crap out of me too. I only work with and talk with people that inspire me anymore, Randy.
Yeah.
And so if you stop and think about that, if you reinvent yourself and you have the path that you believe in your own mind, body, heart, and soul that God wants you to be on, which is what I'm on, I'll be doing this for the next 30 years.
Yeah.
I'm going to be one of the oldest lived people in America because I get up every day so inspired to meet people like you. So thank you.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely welcome, man. And David, I appreciate you, connecting with me at the TEDx Fayetteville event. And, shout out to Sammy and Angela and the rest of those amazing folks that are part of TEDx Fayetteville. They did such a great job with the most recent program. And I look forward to the next one that is coming up in the new year. But while I really want to wish you a lot of success with AHA University, if somebody is listening to this and they're like, ready to run through a brick wall after hearing you talk and hearing you share your story and to talk about pickleball and all the other things, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
Our website is aha.university. My email is David Nelson, my name, at aha.university. My phone number, 479-750-1565. I'm always available for people because the bottom line of when you learn to reinvent yourself the way that I've done is I love playfully listening to people's stories, and I hope to be as good of a listener as you are one day.
Well, listen, I do consider myself an active listener, but for full transparency, I continue to exercise my listening muscle. So every time I put on these headphones and I get behind the mic, I work to fine tune that listening tool, that tool belt that I have. And I take that Japanese approach. I've talked about it before on this podcast, but the Japanese, Mr. Toyota came up with this whole Kaizen approach, which is just consistent improvement. It's just little by little incremental growth, incremental improvement makes all the difference in the world. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You can't eat the whole elephant in one sitting. You can't eat the whole elephant with one spoon. You have to take your time and eat the whole thing. And so I think it's important for people to understand that, like, the first step is the most important step, but the next most important step is the one after that, because you just have to keep going. So it's not huge leaps. It's not, you're not going to, go so far ahead of yourself. Just take your time and get started. And you'd be surprised how quickly you can develop and build that muscle for whatever that muscle needs to be, whether it's active listening, whether it's getting out and getting into a road race in your latter years because you want to run. I mean, I saw a video the other day of a man who just won the world record for 100-meter dash. I mean, he was like 101 years old. Now, of course, he was racing like one other person. So, but I mean, it's like, that was really inspiring that guy was out there doing it. And he wasn't running super, super fast, but he was getting down there and probably doing better than people maybe even half his age. And, the thing, and I'll leave it at this because I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I think in this day and age, there are a lot of people that walk around defeated, that feel like life has either let them down, that situations and or circumstances have really set them back. But my advice to anyone that's listening to this is that, again, just like what David said earlier, right at the top of this podcast, it is never too late to do the thing that you're called to do. It's never too late to learn a new hobby, to learn a new skill, to try something that you've never done before. Maybe you were fearful about. There are other people that are just like you that are going through the process on a daily basis, that have the same fears, that have the same challenges. And some of them, I guarantee, probably live in your neighborhood. So getting together in groups and organizations like what David is doing with his pickleball and other programs like that will help you get out of your comfort zone and help you discover and explore some things about you that you didn't know were even possible until you put yourself out there. And so, like what David's saying is, I want to encourage everybody listening to this particular episode that you can do it and you have all the tools necessary to do it. And if there's anything that either of us can do to help you, kind of get out of your own way and allow yourself to be the best version of yourself, we're certainly here for that. As always, you can reach me here at hello@iamnorthwestarkansas.com. You can visit our site, iamnorthwestarkansas.com. But you can also check out David and what he's doing with aha.university. And I think, listen, it will definitely serve you well to see what he's doing and how he might be able to help you. So, David Nelson, we really, really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule this holiday season to be with us here on the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast. And I thank you for coming out to my coffee event. I thank you for asking me about potentially coming on the podcast. And, when you said you were the CEO of fun, I was like, well, what's this guy talking about? I was like, oh, yeah, what's his deal? But then as we talked and got to know each other a little bit more and spent some time, I was like, oh, you know what? I think that's a good message. I think too often we're out, I've always considered myself a merchant of hope. And so because of that, I always want to spread good news. I mean, yes, I could talk about a lot of the bad things that are happening in the world right now, but I choose not to focus on that. I get it. It's going to be there. We're always going to have trouble throughout our lives. That's just a given. It's just part of the package deal of living, of if you breathe, you're going to have trouble. You're going to run into trouble. It's okay because you can overcome that trouble, and it doesn't always stay that way. So you got your ups and your downs. And end with this story. For some of you, if you've never seen it, there's a movie called Parenthood with Steve Martin. And there's a scene in that movie where he's really struggling both with his wife, played by Mary Steenburgen, as well as with some of the choices and decisions that his children made in the movie. And it was just really chaotic in the house and everything. And then he starts talking to the grandmother that's there, and she's an elderly lady, like really old. But all she did was say, hey, because he asked her, well, what did you do when you were growing up? And she said, hey, life has its ups and downs. Life is like a roller coaster. You're going to go up and you're going to go down. You just have to hold on and enjoy the ride. And as she was saying that, the film shows Steve Martin on a roller coaster going up and down as she's saying that. But that's always stuck with me. And I saw that movie years ago. It's a really great movie. I highly recommend people check out Parenthood when you get a chance. And those of you that have seen it, you know what I'm talking about. But it's a really great scene. And it's always been a reminder to me that, life is going to have good times and bad times. But it's how you bring yourself to those moments that matters the most. And for some people, they just can't deal with adversity. And for others, adversity is kind of like a badge of honor. Because like people say, whatever doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. So
Nietzsche.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'll end with one little phrase that I want to be known for. And I didn't come up with this. What we've forgotten as we get older is the importance of play. The TED Talk that I want to do on pickleball is all about the importance of playing all through your life. So what I do in my reinvention process is help people to turn their work into play. If you're having fun, in the end, what's important is just to go out and play and find people who want to be healthy and healthier, because when you find healthy people, you will build healthier relationships and a healthy community. That's my final message.
All right. I love it. Okay. Well, thank you so much, sir. We really, really appreciate you.
I appreciate you, Randy.
Yes,
Woo!
sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
We're going to be playing pickleball soon.
Soon, very soon. Listen, what a joy it was to sit down with just this gentleman, David Nelson. He is a true example of purpose, passion, and play. I love his energy. It's so contagious. His vision is bold, and his belief in the power of connection is something I think we can all learn from. If you're curious about aha.university, please visit him on the web and learn more about what he's doing. If you're looking to get into pickleball, or you're just inspired by the idea of reinventing your life at any age, I really encourage you to follow David's journey and see where it leads. Trust me, it'll be fun. As always, thank you for joining us here on I Am Northwest Arkansas. You can check out the show notes for more information from this particular episode and ways to contact and stay in touch with David and myself. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend. Leave us a review and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Until next time, take care, stay curious, and keep celebrating this amazing place we call home. Peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas. Check us out each and every week, available anywhere that great podcasts can be found. For show notes or more information on becoming a guest, visit IamNorthwestArkansas.com. We'll see you next week on I Am Northwest Arkansas.
Hey folks, Randy Wilburn here. I always know what's happening in Northwest Arkansas because I read NWA Daily. Every morning, I get a 5-minute write-up with local news, events, new business alerts, and more, straight to my inbox. It's my go-to for staying connected to this amazing community. When I meet new transplants to NWA, one of the first things I tell them is subscribe to NWA Daily. It's the best way to discover local events, try new businesses, and support nonprofits making a difference. Stay connected, stay informed, and sign up for free today at nwadaily.com.